CakeFaceFam, welcome back to the channel. Today I am demoing the Kett Fixx Powder Foundation. I love this foundation. I have for a very long time. Kett does an amazing job with complexion products. I'll go into more detail as I demo the products for you guys, but there are 12 colors with the intention of expanding the range. I do have to thank Muse Beauty Pro for sending these products to me to test out. Hope that you enjoy, and let's get started. Okay, quickly to prep the skin, I am going to do a little bit of color correcting first. Since we're using so much powder, I want to get this done first. This is the Kett color corrector right here that works for my skin tone, and I'm just going to use my finger to pat this in. It's nice and peachy for correcting those greens and blues. And then I'm going to take this lighter cream foundation shade and conceal my lupus rash. It doesn't have to be perfect because the powder foundation has really good coverage. I'm going to take a little bit more to prime the eyelids. And with a little bit of Emberly's concentrate cream, I'm going to mix this moisturizer in with the liquid Kett Cosmetics foundation in 02, Olive 2. Just one drop of this foundation with a bunch of cream. I want a light base of sheer coverage before I go in with my powders. Okay, you don't have to do that. You can go directly in with powder. It's very buildable and not too drying because of the shea butter, but I want it to be a little bit glowier, so we're using a combination, just like that. Now we're ready to dive right into the powders. So I do have the foundation palette in light medium. This Kett Fixx Powder Foundation range does offer 12 colors at the moment, with the intention of extending the shade range based off of customer feedback. And you can get a light medium powder foundation palette like I have here, or a medium deep with 6 shades. I've used this for years. Muse Beauty has just sent me all 12 colors in the individual compacts, so you can get these individually, not just in the sort of pro palettes that they offer. There are empty 6-pan pro palettes that you can customize, make your own 6-pan, but for personal use I really like these individual compacts. One thing is that the compacts are hard for somebody like me who has lupus to open. They're a little bit trickier and you really have to pry them open, which can be hard if you have joint pain. This color right here is R1, which is ruby or red based 1. And I'm going to use this as it's my lightest shade offering with a little must-have brush. And I'm going lightly set underneath the eyes with a small brush Take a little bit down the center of my face as well. That's a little bit pink based for my complexion. So I'm gonna, actually let me take a little bit on my eyelids to set what I put there before it gets all creased up. So I'm gonna switch to my N2, which is neutral 2. They recommend applying these powders with a puff or a brush, but not really a damp sponge, anything like that. So I'm going to show you what it's like with a puff. I'm going to roll the puff with my fingers like this and pick some product up and push this into the skin. Now I recommend this if you want to really conceal. Do you see how much coverage that just gave me? But it does apply a little heavier than I generally like. So I'm going to switch over to a brush instead. This here is one of my favorites, is the Serum X57, and they do recommend on the Muse Beauty site, they do recommend this brush with these powders. And Muse sent this brush over. But I already had this brush and I use it all the time. I love it. It's a goat hair brush. So with this, I like to just buff the powder in. I feel like I have more control over my application and like how much powder I'm using when I use a brush like this over the puff. Anyway, I'm just kind of setting everywhere. It's a pretty dense and fluffy brush, really soft. Putting a little extra coverage around the nose. I think I want to do like a smoky eye look, so I'm going to pick up the deepest color. N11 right now is their deepest offering. She's a beautiful shade. I feel like I'm best using a sort of flat brush. So I'm going to use this G27 from Serum, another goat hair brush. And I'm just going to pat this into the lid, starting at the center of the lid. Hopefully you can see here as I build this color up that it's a more modern matte finish where it's maybe not fully 100% light devoid like a traditional matte. It has a little bit of sheen and life to the skin despite being a matte. And I think that's due to the oils that are in this. Let me look at the sheet, the information sheet. Yeah, it has a shea butter that makes this appropriate even for dry skin types like mine. I think that's why I like it so much, because a lot of powders, and especially powder foundations, don't work for my skin type at all, which is a very, very dry skin type. But as long as I don't like over powder my skin with this, it looks really pretty. Very skin-like, very natural, buildable, and it doesn't make my skin dull. Oh, as I approach my socket line, I'm sort of shearing out the application of the color. I'll probably switch to a lighter color selection in a minute. This one is N9, neutral 9. You can see it's warmer, more golden. I'm gonna use a fluffier brush. This one is the Serum S33, Don't worry, we're gonna get back to complexion soon. I just wanna get a simple smoky eye going. I'm gonna use this all along the socket line. And then with a lighter color than that, this one is Olive 5. We start to really blow this look out up towards the temple and brow. Before I overdo it, I'm gonna go in with my R1, which is extremely hard for me to open. Okay. And a bigger, fluffier brush. We take this around the eye look, smoothing out any harsh edges. Okay, I went ahead and threw on some eyeliner in the waterline, did my brows, mascara, and my Ardell Accent Magnetic Lashes. And I'm pulling out the Kett Mai Tai blush. It's a cream blush. My favorite. Oh, this is such a beautiful blush. It Cosmetics Show Your Pride brush. Oh, it's just such a good color. And these blushes will stay all day. There's actually a color in this line that works as a blush for me, a bronzy blush, and it's the R3 Ruby 3. So I'll show you what that looks like on top of my Mai Tai. Very pretty. Okay, so for bronzer, I'm gonna pull out the Olive 5. Again, I use this a little bit in the crease. T59. It's a beautiful brush that's sort of fan shaped, but it's still really fluffy. And it has a flat top. Has a really great give to it without being flimsy. This is what she looks like. Perfect for sculpting. So I'm just dabbing this 05 into the cheekbones. And then sweeping up. Well, back and forth really. Just pat, 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 and then start sweeping to blend. So silky. It's absolutely beautiful. Take a little bit underneath the nose as well as the sides. Underneath the lower lip. I'm going to do a little bit more concealing on this side of my face. Just by using a patting motion. Of course I want to set that, so I'm going to take my powder puff and set those spots. That really locks it in place. Okay, finally I just want a little bit more sculpting, I'm going to use N9. This is very, very deep for my complexion, but just a little bit will give me depth. Oh, by the way, this is the Classic Face from Sonia G. I just wanted a smaller, less dense brush for light-handed application. The lipstick I chose is Deborah Audacious Lipstick from NARS. I was between this and Velvet Decade from Lisa Eldridge. In the end, I chose this because it's a little bit more red. And I always like to blur the edges. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is put some setting spray on because I do have dry skin and it will give me a little bit more of a settled in to my own skin look. I'm picking up a second setting spray. This one is the Makeup Finishing Spray Bridal from Skindinavia. The first one was a Sulwhasoo First Care Activating Serum Mist. This one just gives a really beautiful skin-like finish. I love using it. It feels like a spa. And this one will make my application more mask-proof and flawless throughout the day. The mist on this is not as fine and pleasant as the Sulwhasoo. Okay, so you can see I have a little bit more of a glossier, glowy finish. I wish you could see this in person because it's really beautiful. I don't usually opt for powder foundation. It's very nice for days that I'm in a rush because it's so fast. Just a little bit of powder with a brush and I'm good. That's something I used to do when I was really young, was a little bit of MAC powder, and it just evened out my complexion and was like so fast and easy for somebody who didn't know anything about makeup. This is also really photogenic, great for photography work and for a kit and on oily skin. I just think it's very pretty, skin-like, my favorite powder foundation on the market, to be honest. Buildable and pretty, like, right? That's like legitimately pretty. Okay, so that's about it. I really enjoy these powder foundations. I find that they work for me despite me having very dry skin, which is, you know, saying a lot for a powder foundation. I think that they look very skin-like and pretty, and with that shea butter I can really tell that my skin isn't dry and tight and uncomfortable, and they're very buildable. I'm able to get really nice flawless coverage. I like it. I like it a lot. I do want to see the shade range expand. That'll be very exciting. And yes. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, I do have a link in the description box down below. If you do use my link to purchase products at Muse Beauty Pro, I will receive a small commission, and I very much thank you for that in advance. And hope you have a great day. Catch you in my next one. Bye.